Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on Superman and Lois Season 4, and this is going to be my trailer breakdown for Episode 9, the penultimate episode, the second last episode of not just the season, but the show as a whole. This episode otherwise entitled To Live and Die Again, but of course, before we get into anything else, let's watch the trailer.
You're no match for what's next. Your boys, they're in training wheels. And Lois, there's nothing she can do. I am coming after everything you have ever loved.
We need to take him out.
That is not how we do things.
Maybe it should be.
So last episode was very much like, I don't want to say like purely a setup episode, because it wasn't, but it laid everything up for these final two episodes, and I guess specifically this episode of episode 9 as well. And then it also had like its own individual story, but not too much going on like you guys like, oh, this happening, like all these different things happening. Very straightforward, very entertaining, very good like the rest of the season has been, but definitely laid all the ducks in a row for these final two episodes, which is good to see, which means, I guess, logically or hypothetically, or are we just presuming, I'm not too sure, that these final two episodes should almost feel like a back-to-back, if that makes sense. Not like one big episode, but almost like how episode 1 and 2. It wasn't one long episode. Episode 1 and 2 stand on their own, but they're very, very complementary. I could see that happening with episode 9 and 10, and I think this trailer really gives that hint as well. But as we saw in last episode, Lois and Lex had a debate. It's interrupted based off Milton Fine being introduced, aka Brainiac, who hacks into John Henry's suit, causing Superman to leave very quickly, which pretty much wraps up the debate. At that point, Lois can't really prove too much, though we the audience know she's telling the truth. She doesn't have a photo or video, unlike Lex Luthor, who seems to have like this cavalcade of evidence to show. So publicly, and how Gordon Godfrey, played by Tom Cavanagh, wants to present it to the world, Lois Lane has a big question mark on her in regards to her integrity. So I do think that'll be addressed in this episode as well, and it's something that even hints at it in the trailer. But of course, before we get into the actual breakdown of the trailer, we will quickly read out the synopsis or description for the episode, which just came out literally 10 minutes before I record this video, so wonderful timing. But of course, throughout the video, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below your various thoughts on this episode, what you're looking forward to, any thoughts and theories, favorite things you're looking forward to, let me know in the comments. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video, want to show your support, drop a like on the video, it takes 2 seconds. Lois struggles against the fallout of the debate. Clark uses Luthor's tactics against him, while Jonathan and Jordan prepare for an impending battle. So most of this trailer is taken up by a speech by Lex Luthor, which appears to cover, I'd say, pretty much all the bases, if not a lot of the bases, when it comes down to this upcoming episode and the things we're going to see take place. So we will just essentially break that down, or at least like break it down in regards to who he's referring to, as well as the other smaller part at the end, and also even some stuff that refers back to the synopsis that we just read out, though it's not in my notes because the thing just came out, but I can use my brain to do some quick thinking. You're no match for what's next. Now, I should have said this earlier. This speech is towards Superman, as we see in the trailer, but in regards to that first thing he says, what is next? Well, is he just talking about him being in the suit, like Lex Luthor in the suit? Which of course we saw being upgraded by Milton Fine, aka Brainiac, right at the end of last episode after getting it off, well, I'd say like stealing it off John Henry Irons. Or is it not about the suit? Is the suit a part of the plan, but it's not the overall plan? Is there a larger plan in place? You would have to think it is specifically about this suit, seeing it is getting these upgrades. And we know that John Henry in that suit in season 1 was quite the match for Superman, and now Superman is weaker compared to that moment in time, versus a more powerful suit, hypothetically. So that could easily be what Lex is talking about, and I guess also the easiest to assume. But there could be one other thing, which is, well, one other thing other than this, and that's just that behind the scenes, like with Amanda McCoy, even with Milton Fine, and just Luthor Corp as a whole, there's other stuff going on that Superman or Clark Kent and Lois Lane can't predict, and how they're going to go about it. So it's not the physical stuff, it's the more like, you know, just behind the scenes groundwork type of stuff. But there is a big mutant, like overly genetical, like sciencey, like elephant in the room, and that is Doomsday. People are still wondering, is Doomsday going to return? I think the answer is yes. I think we are going to see Doomsday. I don't think in this episode, but I think in episode 10. Now, the big question around that is that Doomsday return a part of the plan for Lex, Or is that going to be a surprise for Lex? And of course, we know that Doomsday left because, Lois pretty much asked him to. Does Doomsday come back? And at the end of the day, Doomsday isn't this like random creature that we don't know. It's Bizarro from season 2 that's been changed. So within him, there should still be some memories, and also you'd hopefully think some good. So can that still be, the case? So could we see Doomsday come back and potentially help Superman, especially if Superman's powers are running out? Like, that'd be very, very interesting if that's the case, especially when you think about what Doomsday is. It's this Superman, essentially, this Bizarro Superman on, I guess, super steroids with all this ex-kryptonite stuff and how he's genetically modified. But then we have our Superman who's now weaker and getting weaker by the day. So could they do like an interesting thing where we still have with like Doomsday coming in, he is still the Bizarro of our Superman, because our Superman's getting weaker and he's playing a character that's a Superman that's now getting stronger, no matter what happens to him. That could be a very interesting thing if they do that, especially if they team up. But we'll wait and see what happens there. Your boys, they're training. And there was also something else said after this, which I couldn't make out. It sounds like your boys, they're training us or with us or something. I don't know if that makes sense. But it was hard to tell. It looked like it might have been like quickly edited in the trailer, like 2 different scenes put together. I'm not too sure, but it didn't really seem to make too much sense to me. But anyway, we see this, or we hear this, with us seeing Jonathan and Jordan in the Fortress of Solitude training in like the hologram fight system thing that we'd seen previously with Jordan. And they are fighting what I think is the John Henry against just John Henry in season 1, or I don't know if did John Henry have the hammer when he versed Superman in the pilot episode, or whenever it was in season 1? I can't remember. Yeah, I'm not too sure. I can't remember. But anyway, he's got the hammer there. So they're using like some sort of like previous fight, I guess, to train on. Because of course, Lex Luthor has a suit, but he presumably would not have the hammer, I don't think. But one big thing that I think this might tease is the fact that they are in the Fortress of Solitude, they're training and everything. Are we going to get the Superboy suits? Because I did say this when we went over that initial concept art, whatever it was, like 2 weeks ago, roughly. I can't remember exactly when it was, from that new book that's coming out in like what, 2 weeks, week and a half from now, whenever it is, that it wasn't a confirmation that the suits were going to be in the show, but at least they were designed for the show. There was concept art for them. So we still don't know if we're getting them, but I'd like to think that that's the case. And it'd also be weird if they put them in that book and we weren't getting them in the show as well. So I think if we're going to get them, it's going to be from this thing. But at the same time, if we don't get them this episode, I think we completely rule it out, because they wouldn't make the suits just for one episode. But it will be interesting to see if we do get them when they're doing this training in the Fortress of Solitude. So then when they go and potentially do something at the end of this episode after being being at the fortress, they have the suits, and that'd be a really cool reveal. Especially if there's like a hint of it, like whether it's like Lara L or whatever says like, oh, I've got something else here, and they go behind and we don't see them put them on, and then they just land in like Smallville or wherever it is with the suits on. That'd be a cool reveal. But next up we had, and Lois, there's nothing she can do. And I think, like as the synopsis does say, after the events of last episode, like she's going to be reeling from that loss in the public perception there, and I don't think Lois can do much when it comes to attacking Lex Luthor directly, at least in the short span after that. And I think that side has come to an end for the most part, I think, between Lois and Lex. But I think Lois could still impact someone like Amanda McCoy. So that might be who Lois goes after, rather than Lex, especially with Lex having the suit and all that and getting a bit more physical in regards to his villain side. His main opponent is really going to be Superman and the 2 Superboys you have to think going forward. But it wouldn't surprise me if Lois still delivers one final blow to Lex before the end of the season, aka the end of the show, whether it's directly like, hey Lex, suck on this, or it's through Amanda, which, conflicts some other stuff going on behind the scenes. So I think that's how Lois is going to have to go about things. Whether it's overly investigative or it's just her with her words, I'm not too sure. But I think that if Lois is going to do something, I think it's going to be through those means. But then we do hear Lex say, I'm coming after everything you have ever loved. Now, of course, the obvious stuff here is going after the family members of Superman. But I think this will also involve Smallville as well. I think Lex will either look to just mess Smallville up, whether it is like blow up the town, though that could be going a bit too far even for Lex Luthor. But if he does that, he could do it, make it look like it wasn't him, make it look like it was some sort of accident or something. Especially because he's in the suit, he could just make it seem like it was John Henry, and that's a DOD thing as well. So he can make it look like it was them. Or he could be doing it through other nefarious means, like he's been trying to do, I guess, previously by trying to like buy up houses and stuff. He could just do something something like to drive people out of the town for whatever means they are. Now, the interesting thing is, like, obviously the synopsis does say that Clark uses Luthor's tactics against him. I don't know if the tactic is simply the fact that, like, Luthor would always just, like, walk into a room where Lois and Clark were, and now in the trailer, Superman's gone to Luthor Corp. So I don't know if that's the tactics or if there's something else there. We'll wait and see. Like, when they say that they can be very blanket with it, it means either a lot or it's really minor. And it's just like one thing that they do, like Luthor just showing up uninvited. That could be what Superman does, and that's the tactic that he uses. But the final thing we hear in the trailer is we need to take him out. Now, this is said by Jonathan. He's talking to his father, pretty much saying to kill Lex, with Clark saying that isn't how they do things, with Jonathan saying that, you know, maybe it should be how we do things. And this gives me a hint. Maybe we might see Jonathan and Jordan, or maybe just Jonathan, go after Lex without Superman. But I don't know. I think we saw Jordan make that mistake enough times in previous seasons, and even this season, where at least Jordan wouldn't go with Jonathan. That was the case, but I also don't think they would have Jonathan go and do it himself as well. I mean, I just don't think so, but you never know. Or it could be a fight with Lex alongside Superman that Jonathan maybe tries to go too far and like try and kill him. But once again, I think that is probably unlikely. But once again, we'll wait and see. But the synopsis came out like 10 minutes before I record this video, and the promo images came out a couple of hours ago. So I got to look at the promo images, though it's all fairly simple. It's all the same surrounding for the most part. So we do see Superman and Lex face to face like we see in the trailer. Obviously, I guess this might be Superman or Clark using Luthor's tactics, and this is pretty much where Luthor says all this stuff. Now, I don't necessarily know what Superman's going to Lex for. I don't know if there's something that happens early in the episode which causes Superman to go there. Or I don't know if he's trying to reason with him, but like throughout the trailer, Clark's got a pretty, like, you know, stern face. So I don't know. We'll wait and see. Like, it's hard to, like, with the promo images, it can be really hard to get a grip on things. And also, Clark doesn't say anything in the trailer in regards to saying something to Lex. So yeah, it's hard to really know exactly what Clark's motives and, you know, his response to it all as well. We do see Lex here sitting down. I don't know who this is. It's meant to be. I don't know if that's meant to be Milton. I don't know if it's meant to be just someone within Luthor Corp, but he's got an envelope. I know what's in that envelope. I don't know if it's good or bad news. We'll wait and see. We do get Lex. We do see Lex and Amanda continuing on their romantic escapade that we saw, I guess, kick off last episode with that kiss on the balcony. As I said, I think we talked about it in my review, I think this pushes Amanda into, like, just being pretty much as bad as Lex, if that makes sense, because she's pushing stuff. So yeah, if Lex is going to go down, you'd assume Amanda does as well. It's just, I wonder if Lex throws Amanda to the wolves, though. I wonder if Lex is like, I don't need you anymore, especially if he knows that, like, everything's compromised and, like, this is like a final stand. I could see Lex doing that, but maybe they might do something different there. I don't know. And the final shot here is just another good shot of Superman up against Lex. Yeah, good shot. What can you say? The suit looks good here. And once again, in the Luthor Corp building and everything like that. So nothing new, but it's just cool shots to look at. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. For you to be awesome, if you could drop a like on it, show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions on everything we went over in this video. We're looking forward to most in this episode based off the trailer. Any theories and predictions moving forward, whether it's into episode 9 or just the final 2 episodes as a whole, let me know in the comments. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. And I'll catch you guys later. And goodbye.